Welcome to the MTLD podcast. My name is LD, and as always, I'm joined by MT. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys, to our podcast about really a whole lot of everything and a whole lot of nothing as well. We hope you enjoyed our first episode. This is now episode 2, season 1. It can only get better from here. That's what I say. What about you, MT?
I don't even know if that's possible, dude. We may have peaked in episode 1.
We may have peaked.
We'll keep on keeping on, dude. We'll keep slaving away.
It could have been a fluke. It could have been an absolute fluke. I know we did actually have some listeners to our first one, which is lovely. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. And it was nice to talk to some of you guys as well about, you know, some of the stories, some of the places, some of the things that you guys could have related to during our first podcast, which was awesome. That was so cool to hear from everyone. We thought we might also continue down a little bit of that track. We've got a bit of an interesting topic or topics today that we're going to talk about and we want to cover. I guess a little bit of something that was pretty close to MT and I's life and something that we were involved in and something that, you know, to this day, I still enjoy a little bit of.
That's it. Bit of drinking, getting on the beers, as they say.
A little bit of the old party town.
That's it, dude.
When you
the
get
liquid
down.
courage.
The liquid courage, as they say, the nectar of the gods. Shit, where do we even start with this, MT? Where do we even start?
Well, my earliest recollection of being exposed to alcohol was is, you know, one of our childhood stories. This was one that I brought up that I'm not even sure you remembered. So back down memory lane. I think we were probably about maybe 10 years old. We were very, very young, and we busted into your mum's liquor cabinet. She had one of those. I think there was a lock or something on it, but obviously you knew where the key was. We busted in there.
I don't know if it was locked. I don't know if it was locked. It might have been locked, but I definitely remember this liquor cabinet. And by the way, this is the first time this is going public. So.
Oh, jeez. I've just blown the roof off it,
Mom.
dude.
No, it's good. Hey, look, what's she gonna do? It's about 20 years too late.
Yeah, dude.
Keep on going, bro.
Gonna get grounded.
Yeah.
Well, and then I remember we were just sampling a bit of everything. We were just having like little sips. We were little kids, man, so we were just being buff heads. There wasn't really anything in it. Yeah. I like to think that it didn't necessarily put us down a path of darkness, but that was my earliest experience. Yeah. I'm sure that we would have had like a few tiny little sips and then we thought that we were absolutely buzzing, but from memory there was no actual effect. I don't think we had the capacity.
Yeah. I think we were drinking Kahlua. I think one of the drinks was Kahlua.
And one was Malibu, because I distinctly recall that coconut flavor, and I was like, dude, this is coconut water and it's disgusting. And that's the other thing, none of it was enjoyable. I was like, nah, this is all garbage.
It was garbage. It was absolute crap. And you're right. We had little shot glasses, and I remember we were like pouring probably like half shots at the time, and we were like, all right,
have a little sip,
little sippy boys. And oh man, it was terrible. It was not a good time, but we did it a few times, and it must have been because we were like, we got to do it more because we were cool badass kids at the time. Obviously,
build up tolerance.
But yeah, dude, that stuff tasted horrible. And you know what? Like shotting stuff to this day, I still hate that.
I've actually developed pretty much, I don't know if it's the appropriate term, but I basically it sets off my gag reflex. I'm not sure if that's a legitimate.
Probably most people.
Yeah, because I recall when I'd moved out of Muralbark, and the guy that moved into my room, Ryan, made his own moonshine. And I went over there one night and we were about to go out. We were all, you know, fired up, ready to hit the town. And he said, oh, dude, have a shot of my moonshine with me. And I said, I guarantee, man, it's not going to go well. And he said, no, it's really smooth. Everyone seems to think that all this disgusting shit is smooth. I don't know why that adjective is ever...
It's never smooth.
It's never... I don't associate that with hard liquor. Smooth,
there are some that are smoother than others, like more digestible, but still not smooth.
Yeah. Well, he was touting this as the smoothest thing in town. And I said, yeah, sure. Well, watch this. I had a shot before I even put the shot glass down. I just projectile all over the kitchen. And I said, see, man, I warned you this. And he said, I can't believe this has happened.
So every time you were to shot, like if you were to shot something right now, would the same thing happen? Would you vomit 100%? Or is
Very,
it like a...
very high chance of it. I would have an incredibly
Wow.
tough time keeping it
Okay.
down. It just,
Wow.
my
That's a
body
lot.
not having a bar of it. And you often find yourself in those positions where if you're out with a group of people, they're like, oh, I've got a round of shots for everyone. Wah! And I just kind of back away. I'm like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spew all over the bar and ruin everyone's time.
For sure. Look, I'm a similar sort of thing. I won't throw up on number one, but if I do it, it's just going to be not fun. It's going to be a challenge, number one. Number two is like now we're in vomit territory, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to be however long I take to wait till number one digests or the taste disappears. Number two is always worse. And I don't know if I've ever gone for 3 shots in a row, which is crazy, right? And I know people, I guess, they'll shot things because it's quick and it's an easy way to get drunk. But, oh my God, to me, it's just so unenjoyable.
I feel like, and it also reduces a large part of what I enjoyed about social outings. It was just having something in my hand, because I wasn't always the most confident dude to go up and engage in conversation, but there was something psychological about just having something in your hand. I was like, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing something. Like there's an activity taking place here. Whereas if you just go bang a few shots, get yourself into oblivion and then just stumble around.
Yeah.
For some reason that seems less dignified.
Yeah, for sure. But it's like smoking as well, you know, people smoke, or they start smoking because they're bored, or, you know, start at parties or whatever. And then, you know, they're just like, oh, I just smoke in the morning. You know, it's just part of my routine. What else do I do in my spare time, or when I don't know what to do, I'm just going to go have a smoke, you know, which is crazy. And for me, like, you know, I never smoked. Smoking wasn't for me. You know, I grew up in a household with smoking, so I didn't really understand that. Like, I tried a cigarette once, as most people do. I didn't dig it. I didn't really get I guess, what was so good about it. But I guess that's the same sort of thing with alcohol. The first time you have a drink, have a beer or whatever, no one likes beer straight away. And if they do, I want to meet this person that like truly enjoys a beer straight away.
Doesn't exist, dude. Not possible.
I think like most people, I had to train myself to sort of enjoy alcohol or enjoy beer at the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going back to sort of that story, like, yeah, we did those shots or whatever when we were really young. I didn't then touch alcohol until I was 18 years old. I didn't go to any house parties.
Really?
Like before I was 18. No, didn't go to any house parties really before I was 18. And when I hit 18, it was when I first actually had like a close group of friends at that time. I don't know where you were or what we were doing. I don't know. We must have been doing something different at the time. And I went to a party, not even a party. It was just like a small get together at someone's house. And my first alcoholic drink, proper drink as an adult, was vodka and Coke together. It's horrible. It's the worst.
It's so bad, dude. It's funny you mention that, because I had the same experience, but I was about, I would have been about 16, I would have said, because I was working at Macca's. It was with Jay.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a whole bottle of vodka and a bottle of Coke. And
really? You had vodka and Coke as well?
Yep. Yeah, dude. It's kind of weird that we've never discussed that. We're just dumb as hell. I don't know, because it wasn't a known, even to this day, it's not a known cocktail.
It's a terrible combination.
Yeah, I've never watched them film or something and seen them go up to the bar and say, give me a vodka and Coke. Yet somehow we've had shared experiences with that.
That is really strange. What the hell? I don't know. I think why I had a vodka and Coke is like Coke was like my favorite fizzy drink. So I was like, oh, well, surely this will be good if I mix these two things. And I guess it got the job done, but it is an absolutely horrible taste. And that day that I discovered orange juice with vodka, wow, what a game changer.
Have a screwdriver.
The old screwdriver. And I didn't know it was called a screwdriver for so many years. Someone like said it to me, I think, at a bar.
I think we found that out together.
Did we?
I remember being bamboozled. I was like, how is this not what we've always called it? This is cool as hell.
But I even still feel like weird about calling it a screwdriver. Like if I was to go to a bar right now, I'd probably say, hey, can I have a vodka and orange? rather than kind of a screwdriver. Like, I don't know. It just, the name doesn't resonate with me very well.
We're not cool enough, man. You know, it's a very
We are
confident
cool.
move to wander up to a bar and say, "Give me a screwdriver."
Yeah,
You
for
stare
sure.
them
Yeah,
dead in the
100%.
eyes.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember, so like when I turned 18 and when I started drinking, I don't know about you, but, you know, for a while I probably stayed with vodka. That was my first drink that I actually properly drunk.
Yeah.
And I sort of stayed with that for a while and drunk that whenever I went to parties or drunk that whenever, you know, I went out anywhere. Was that the same for you or what did you find?
I think it was predominantly a bang for your buck kind of thing. It was a surefire way to get where you were going, guaranteed every time. And then after, I think most people have a terrible experience at some point, which I certainly had a couple of. I don't remember which one sent me over the edge, but I never went back. It was probably at about 19 or something that I could never go back to those super hard spirits. It was just drinking beers from there on out.
Yeah. Okay. See, don't get me wrong, I had some absolutely like heinous experiences with vodka. Like, so when I was 18, 19, maybe even 20, I was obviously drinking, like I said, vodka at parties and stuff like that. And I would just bring off like the 750 ml?
Yep.
A full bottle of that. And I'd bring a full orange juice and I would finish that at the party. I'd finish that. And I used to get wasted. Absolutely wasted. Once again, sorry, Mum.
Yeah.
Sorry, parentals. A lot of things will be uncovered on this podcast. But yeah, I used to get absolutely just like literally not unconscious. I never felt unconscious or anything like that. But I would get so drunk to the point where I would like just be laying on the ground. And people would be like, are you all right, LD? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. You know what I mean? And my tolerance got higher than that because I did that so much. My tolerance got so high, and there's a lot of people that will attest to this, that I ended up getting the larger bottle, the 1 liter or the like 1.2, whatever size it was.
Yeah, it's it's like a bazooka. That'd be like several sessions. Like, Jesus Christ.
Dude, I would drink 3/4 of that bottle, maybe even finish it. I can't remember if I ever finished it, but 100% I drank at least 3/4 of that bottle. They were heinous times, man. That was when LD really stood for loose dog. And you know,
big time.
It stands for a lot of things, LD, you know, Luke Dickinson, as my name is, but you know, MT can attest to it. Loose dog was another term.
Been several aliases over the years.
Absolutely, yeah. But you know, it did really ring true back then. I was a loose dog. I was getting heinous.
I think what seems to be obviously we didn't experience those. We didn't share those experiences at that age, but it's interesting that it's obviously a common theme, and it seems to just be like an Australian rite of passage that drinking to excess is that's just how it's done. Like it's an expectation. If at that point in time, if I encountered someone that said they don't drink, I was very confused. I would be like, well, what do you do with your time? How do you have fun? What's the point? Like it was like a big part of, I don't know about you, but for me, it was like an identity thing. It was like, this is how it is. And you got to go hard all the time. Like there was very rarely was I having a low key session, like just 1 or 2 beers in a backyard. It was all or nothing.
It was high key. Yeah, it was high key all the time. I don't know if it was like part of my identity. Maybe it was a little bit. I definitely feel though it was a part of me sort of catching up from not doing it in my younger years. So when I was like younger than 18, you know, 15, 16, 17, you know, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was like that metal kid that hated everyone, didn't really go to parties, right? And I saw drinking, I saw it happening around me, or I saw people going to parties and doing it. And I always had like that mental image in my head of just like, these guys are idiots. Why are they doing it? I don't see the point in it. So I was like the opposite. But then when, of course, I actually got involved with it, is when my 180 happened on that. And I was like, holy shit, this is actually pretty fun getting drunk, because it is. Yeah. And now I just want to go hard and I guess make up for lost time a little bit. So that's sort of how I experienced it for my first few years, I guess. Mainly house parties. I didn't really go out. I don't know about you. Were you going out like when you hit 18?
Dude, I think I would have gone to the pool room.
Yeah, I never went there.
Oh, okay. I went there on a handful of occasions. It was always a good time. It was always some big crowds there, like, you know, an eclectic local mix.
There was a reputation about the pool room though as well, right?
There was, and I think I witnessed on one occasion firsthand. I wandered out into the car park and the Cockatoo boys had made their way down the mountain. I still to this day don't really understand that there was some sort of, I don't know what the word is. There was a rivalry. There was some sort of rivalry with the Cockatoo boys, and they had come down, and I just watched a full-on brawl in the car park. Like there was blood everywhere. It was very.
Who were they fighting?
I think I imagine like the Foothills boys, I guess.
Was it like the Upway boys? Because I remember hearing like about the Upway boys, or like I heard that term thrown around a little bit.
Yeah, that might be right. Someone can clarify for me because I wasn't really up with the local warring gang dynamics, but it was full on, dude. That was probably my first encounter as an adult of violence. And I was not into it. It just made me really uncomfortable and just felt really unsafe. I was not. Yeah. I don't know. In my head, maybe growing up and always seeing like stylized violence and things like that in games and film and whatnot, I always thought that it'd be no big deal. But standing there and watching a dude like being held by the shirt and just like repeatedly punched in the face, it made me feel sick. I was like, this is really bad. I don't want any part in it. I don't want to watch this. This is terrible. And particularly because I have that immediate thought of like, this is someone's son. Like this, like, you know, this guy has friends and family and stuff, and he's just laying there getting the shit kicked out of him over, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe there was a serious reason for it, but it was intense. I was not digging it.
Yeah, no, you're right, dude. It is completely confronting when you sort of see those things happen. And I'm relatively fortunate that I've never really seen a fight in person that has resulted in like someone seriously hurt. You know what I mean? I've discovered actually, so, and this is, I guess, fast forward a little bit, when we used to play gigs up at Suki Lounge, on the way back home from Suki Lounge, you had to come down the mountain. We actually did, in the car coming home, saw a guy that had been like bashed to like unconsciousness on the side of the road, just there by himself. We had to stop and get out of the car and obviously make sure he was okay and call an ambulance. Like that was obviously crazy, but that was after the fact. There was no one around, and that guy's okay, by the way, as far as I'm aware, which is, you know, really lucky and thankful for that. I got into a fight once. I wouldn't even call it getting into a fight. It was more that I was bashed and assaulted by like 3 guys.
I remember this. This was at Knox City, right?
It was at Knox City. So, you know, and I guess it's part of a bigger story, and we should give some background to the location. But if you're not familiar, there is the Rish, the Irish, or at least
there was.
It's shut down now. Although they say they're shutting down every, however many months, but this time
I think it's finally happened. Yeah, I think this is like the 3rd or 4th shutdown that they've actually closed. Yeah.
And you know, the Rish was always a place that, I guess this is probably about when early 20s, right? Like 2021.
Yeah, because I remember I was working full time by the time Monday Night Rish was an absolute scene.
Yeah. I was working there too. No, I was working full time too.
Yeah.
I was working with you. No. And like, I think you were going before me, and I remember, or other people were going before me. I just remember a lot of people being like, yo, come to the Irish on a Monday. And I was like, what do you mean come to the Irish on a Monday? Like,
why would you go anywhere on a Monday? It's Monday.
Yeah,
dude.
I didn't really get it.
Yep.
Of course I went, and at that time is when I guess it really started to develop a culture of, you know, uni kids and young adults being there and just hanging out. And the vibe there was sick on a Monday, bro.
Dude, it was really packed as well. There were a couple of times where the queue to get in would be like 30, 40, 50 meters long. It was absurd.
Absolutely. And it still was like that. But I think over time, the customer base sort of changed. It got sort of younger until it was for like 18-year-olds, like, you know, just out of high school or just turned 18 started going there, and that vibe sort of changed. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I think you were going longer than I was. I think our time there overlapped, but I think I may have stopped going. There was you caught the tail end of it, because I think when your incident occurred, I don't think I was going anymore by that stage.
No shit. Okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Well, I guess, to give you the people some background, like I was there with a bunch of people, and I was also there with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and we had left and we were going to the taxi rank to get a taxi to go home. And there was this guy who was getting into a taxi, but he was like shouting at some other guy, like maybe 20 meters away. And he was like, if that guy doesn't get into that taxi, I want to beat the fucking shit out of him. I want to kill that guy. And like, I was walking by, and like, I hate that, macho man, like, drunk,
just being obnoxious. Shit. Yeah. Yep.
And I was just like, bro, fuck off. He didn't like that. He did not like that one bit.
Red flag to a bull, man.
Yeah. Looking back, probably not the smartest thing to say to this guy, but yeah, he didn't like that. So he got out of the taxi. He was halfway in, he got out, and he was like, tell me to fuck off or whatever. And he swung and he hit me. And I'd never been like hit before. So it was a little bit like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, dude, it's weird, isn't it?
Face. And I sort of, like, it's a little bit blurry because I was obviously intoxicated as well, but like I wasn't like wasted. So I sort of like just, I guess, was like, ooh, and came down a little bit. And by that time, two of his mates that were also in the taxi, both of them got out, came over, and they're twins, by the way. And all three of them started like hitting me because I had sort of like curled over, and then they were like, punching me in the face. That happened for maybe like, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. But I guess it's one of those things that when you're in a fight, like 15 seconds feels like a long time.
Dude, it's like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Anyway, so they hit me. They didn't knock me out or anything like that. I didn't fall to the ground or anything like that. It was pretty weak showing, to be honest, by like three dudes.
Yeah.
And, my ex-girlfriend at the time grabbed one of them, pulled them off. He turned around and like hit her as well, which is obviously like what a cowardly move.
Yeah, dude.
But she was okay as well. Thankfully, these guys are very strong. Anyway, three of them got back into the cab and they drove off. The taxi driver took them, which is crazy.
Yeah. Dude, there's so many strange occurrences like that just... Look, I truly wonder what goes through people's minds at times, dude. Like the stuff that sets people off, and just hearing stories like that makes me glad that I generally don't go out so much anymore, because some of these people, and actually, I recall an incident when, again, back when we were playing gigs. Do you remember it was the Penny Black was the venue?
I remember.
Yeah. I was walking from, they had a really cool back, like beer garden area. And then there was a reasonably narrow walkway to get back into the band room area. And I was going from the beer garden area to the band room area. And I bumped into a guy and I said, "Oh, sorry, man." And he grabbed me around the throat and pushed me up against the wall. And he just started going ballistic. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. Within, like, to their credit, within like 2 seconds, security was on the dude and he was out of there. But I was like, holy shit, man. I was just walking past this guy, minding my business. Like, I was in no way acting in a threatening manner, but he just went ballistic. Like, it just set him off. Like, you never know what's going on behind the scenes with people, I guess.
A lot of, unfortunately, a lot of dudes, when they go out, man, they're so built up with like testosterone and like emotion, I guess. Like, a lot of these guys never express themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they never.
You're right, dude. They need like an actual outlet. They need whatever it may be, whether it be like some sort of physical activity or something creative, or even just talking, having a conversation with someone. Yeah. In the absence of that, it's just some crazy shit can happen, man.
Yeah. That's it, man. They're built up, and they're revved up. They're there with their mates, and unfortunately they have a bit of alcohol in them, which never helps. And then they're just waiting for something to go down, man. I had I guess it was similar in the sense, but it wasn't, because it wasn't physical. But I was at a club as well, and I bumped into someone as well, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, mate," and he looked at me. He's like, "I'm not your mate," that typical thing. And I'm just like, "Bro, I'm literally just apologizing to you because I've obviously hit you or whatever happened." And I'm like, this is just. It's like a trained response as well, like they're waiting for someone to say that so they can say that back as well.
Dude, because that's not I think your reaction of if you bump someone, you say, "Oh, sorry, mate," that is like a muscle reaction thing. Like that happens, you instinctively say that. Like if someone says, "Hey, how you going?" You say, "Good, thanks, how are you?" You do it subconsciously. You don't have to think about it. For someone to react like that, that's not a normal reaction. Like that motherfucker. He's like, This piece of shit is thinking, "Oh, next person to bump me, they're going to know all about it."
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
why, man? What are you going to prove? What? Like at the end of the day, if you go ahead and break your fist on this dude's jaw, are you going to feel $1 million? You're going to wake up in the morning thinking, "Ah, yeah, got that out of my system. Now I can go back to being a model citizen."
I don't know, man, because I've never been in that sort of headspace. Like violence has never been a thing for me, so I don't know what goes through these people's heads or how they justify it or how they feel about it the next day. Like it'd be great to know that the next day they go, "Oh, I acted like a dickhead and I shouldn't do that again." But I don't feel like that's the case a lot of the time. I feel like it's
I think you're right, dude. These are the type of people that would go on to abuse someone else in some other setting. They'll go out and cause a bit of road rage.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think it just means, like, I know what you were saying about, this is why you don't really like going out or going to these places. It's just about going to the right places as well.
Yeah, that is very true.
Tell a lot of the time the type of crowd, the type of individuals that a venue or an event will bring. And 100%, I'm the same as you, man. Like, I'll avoid those places like the plague if I can.
Which is, I think that's really, it's very relevant that you've mentioned that at this time, because that was the only time we'd ever played a gig and someone had put their hands on me in a threatening way, and it was at what I would describe, and I don't know if you would agree, like a bit of an upper class bar type venue. It was like the drinks weren't cheap. The crowd was, a lot of them wearing
collared shirts
and stuff like that. Just a real douchey crowd, and you could tell that they just weren't, not really the kind of people that you would want to be hanging out with. Then on the flip side, so if I had said, say you were explaining to someone who knew nothing about music and that kind of scene, if you said, where are you more likely to encounter a violent occurrence? A venue like that, where there's, lots of expensive drinks, lots of people wearing their collared shirts, or a DIY warehouse gig in Footscray.
Yeah.
Which is going to be the more dangerous event. But then
BYO alcohol as well.
Yeah. So, all bets could be off at this warehouse event. And, you would imagine you just roll up and people are just going to be bashing each other. But the best gigs we ever did and the funnest nights I've ever had have been at Wrangler shows, dude. And they do so much for the all ages scene as well.
Yeah, they're killing it. Shout out to Wrangler,
Yeah, man. Dino does excellent work and always with the best attitude, dude. He's just so enthusiastic about all the gigs that he puts on, and it shows in the crowd, man. The people that turn up at those events, it's just such a legitimate community.
Yeah.
The people that attend those gigs, man, everyone is just so friendly and happy to have a chat. And it's such a diverse group of people. You meet all sorts, but everyone's happy to be there. Everyone's happy to get around it.
It's definitely become a mecca for underage gigs and stuff, and we did mention, obviously, on our last podcast, we were talking about underage gigs and how when the Castle was a place, like no one else was really doing it and stuff. And Wrangler sort of came in when we had obviously become overage. Like we could go to all age gigs.
Yeah.
So we didn't somewhere like Wrangler anymore. Like we need it because it's an amazing venue, but I mean, from an age perspective, we didn't need it. But it's so good to see Wrangler pop up and be such a great venue. And also like Dino, just like invest so much money into making that place better all the time.
Oh,
like,
dude, the transition that place has gone through from the very first time we ever played there to now. I haven't been there recently, but I've seen photos and I don't even think I'd recognize it, dude. Like it looks, it's such a perfect representation of what the independent music scene in Melbourne is all about. It's just such like a nice, welcoming community space where everyone can feel safe and comfortable. Like it's the kind of place where when I have kids at some point from the age of like 6, I'd be happy dropping them off at a Wrangler show. Because I would know that, I don't know, they might fall over or something, but I would go with them. But you know what I mean? Like it's the kind of place where I would have no second thoughts about safety when going there or referring someone to go to a place like that. Because it was just so good, man. And such cool people. Yeah,
you're right though, like 100%. I think it sort of created and cultivated definitely its own community for Wrangler as well, which is dope. Which means 100% you're right. You could probably leave your kid there and people like the community would look after your kid, which is great. Not that we are suggesting leave your 6-year-old.
Go get your kids raised at Wrangler.
Not that we are suggesting that at all, okay? But it is definitely a bit of a sign of what that sort of place is. And I guess, speaking about community, and I think that's a bit of a good segue, and speaking about a place that, we visited a lot and that meant a lot to us on our side of the city is probably when we were about, who knows now, 21, 22, 23, Kate's party.
Dude, it was prime. I think that hit like the sweetest spot for, particularly when you look at the history books of MTLD, shenanigans and tomfoolery.
Absolutely.
That was when things were burning white hot, dude.
Absolutely. So I think, there was a bit of a catalyst that happened though too, right? So going back to what I was saying, the Irish was that cool place. It was that cool place for your early 20-year-olds to go out, hang out. But then it started to change. You saw the music start to become a bit more mainstream. Some of the older cats started to die off and younger people started to really move in. And I think people just stopped really vibing with the Irish, especially when I got bashed. I was like, well, I'm not going back. You know what I mean?
I remember
like
that. It sort of developed a reputation, dude. And I don't know, I didn't witness this firsthand, but I heard a number of stories about the security being extraordinarily heavy-handed. Like a lot of the violence they were involved in.
I saw some stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't know. You never know the full story of it. Like, they were always good to me. Actually, I do have a really quick story just on the Irish. Once I went with some work friends from back in the day, I had drunk a lot and did actually fall asleep in one of the booths. I fell asleep. I did not pass out. There's a difference. I fell asleep in one of the booths at the Irish, and I woke up to someone tapping me on my shoulder, one of the security guards, saying, "You got to go, bro." And I was like, "Please, I'm here with my friends. I promise I'm not going to be any trouble. Just, can I continue to sit here?" And they let me stay.
Dude, which, a rare occurrence.
A rare occurrence, and in any other situation, at any other place, they probably would have been like, "Nah, mate, you got to get out of here," and
well, you're a liability, dude. I think there's like legal implications for that. Like, if you then slip off the booth and bash your head on the table on your way down, they'll be liable.
I said, I was legitimately tired and I was asleep. I was not passed out. All right, I promise. But
purely coincidence.
Yeah, coincidental that there was alcohol in my system at the time. But going back to Kate's party, like, how can we describe it for people? It was down. Well, first off, it was hidden, which always makes something way cooler.
Very trendy.
It was very trendy. It wasn't, it wasn't in a shopping area or a big nightlife area. It was literally off of a main road that went through a suburb in a factory.
Like an industrial estate.
Yes.
Like up the back. Like it's like smash repairs and just roller doors and stuff. Like if you were out on the street, like when we would get a cab and we'd go to meet it out on the main road, you wouldn't know that there's anything going on there. It was just a very quiet suburban area.
So I had that going for it, of course. And I guess, at that time as well, there were venues there were events like Next and Bang, where all your alternative kids went. all your kids that weren't into the mainstream stuff would go. But they were both in the city, you know, and
Dude,
it
and
was
that was always such an effort. It was like you were looking at an hour plus commute to get into the city. So you'd
It was a killer.
pre-drink, you'd almost be sober by the time you got to the venue and be exhausted, but somehow you'd turn it on again because that's just how it was those days.
Yeah, but I hated that trip, you know. I hated that public transport trip, you know. I still hate public transport to this day. So for the fact that, you know, I lived in Baronia, you lived in Ferntree Gully, so to get to Kate's party, like you would come to mine or we would just meet there or whatever it would be, it was like a 5-minute taxi ride to Kate's party, which was
dude.
amazing.
Cost-wise, you're looking at, I would say the difference there would be like a $10 to $15 cab versus $120 to get home from the city. For sure. You had to put cash aside to get home from the city back then. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think what happened is obviously a lot of that younger crowd from the Rish, but also a lot of that sort of mid-20s, early 20s crowd from the Rish, as well as all the alternative kids. They wanted a home. And I remember when, Kate's party first got announced on Facebook, you know, there was a Facebook event, said Kate's party. And I think at the start, like a lot of people, I was like, is this like an actual person? I was like, is Kate an actual person? What's going on?
Well, she was originally, wasn't she? It was based off. Yeah, I think it was like, I may be wrong, but my understanding of it was there was a young girl who put up an event, like a party, but she accidentally made it public instead of private. And then all of a sudden, you know, like 500,000 people responded to it. So it became like a meme before memes existed.
Yeah, it was a meme thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. And it got announced, and I remember reading the description, and it had all good things. It was like cheap beers. It had Mario Kart, like Nintendo 64 set up. It was going to be live bands. It was going to be, what is it? Friggin' ping pong. What's the thing?
Beer pong.
Getting the name of it. Beer pong. Thank you very much. Had all these good things, and we were like, holy shit, this sounds really cool. And I don't remember really the first time. I remember the first event, but I don't remember much of it, to be honest. But I remember the venue, and it was like an old, what would you even say the decor was like? It was like it was like a cow shed. Like
it was like a biker bar, I think, because this was a particular evening, like a lot of events, like every Friday night this venue becomes whatever it may be. It was one of those. So I think it's an original function was like a biker bar. Yeah. So they have like the old barrels that are the tables are like old barrels and stuff like that. So like that kind of like rustic charm to it.
Absolutely, there was a rustic charm, but they did it up a bit, obviously, when we went in there too. And I just remember the first night. I don't know. Were you there for the launch night? Were you there?
No, I think I arrived and it was like at capacity or something. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So I think I went the second one would have been the first one I went to.
Well, I just remember like the vibe was great. It was perfect. Talking about that sort of like community and what people were there for. Like, I think people really understood. And credit to, Guy and Nathan as well, and everyone else involved, because I'm sure there was other people involved too, they put on a really, really just like cool vibe and event that people in that area really wanted and needed. And I think because people understood this wasn't a normal thing, and it was like a little bit of like an alternative bar, I guess you could say. There was a lot of respect there. People were pretty cool with each other. Dude, I made so many friends. I spoke to so many just like randos throughout the entire experience there. What a cool place.
Yeah, it was always a good crowd. So so definitely the kind of place where you could just wander out into the beer garden smokers area and just strike up a conversation with anyone that happened to be there. And it was always going to be a good time.
Yeah, and I remember back when it first opened, the smokers area was like bigger than the friggin' venue itself. Like, it was massive. It was huge. Yeah, because it backed onto a gully. So they didn't have any barriers or anything. So you could literally just walk out like onto the grass and gully and just chill and stuff like that. It was very loose when it first opened. they sort of had to rein it in after a while.
Yeah, yeah.
You saw like restrictions sort of pop up where they put some outdoor barriers and stuff. But man, it's such a good time. Like cheap beers, I think beers were like $4 a
They
stubby.
absolutely were, man. I remember many a time getting stuck into a few of those.
Absolutely, but I didn't mention, but you know, I started drinking beers because they were cheaper than getting vodka and oranges. Because you like paying
That's something
double.
you also work out on a budget pretty quickly as well. Like once you start to do a bit of cost benefit, run the sums, put it through your calculations.
Absolutely. But you know, with Caterpillar as well, we obviously played there. Those that don't know, MT did a lot of our booking. He pretty much organised probably 99% of our gigs back in the day. Do you remember talking to the boys trying to get a gig there at Kate's?
I do. It was probably on one of our many highly lit evenings. And absolutely. And we would have seen them. And it was probably one of those quick debriefs we had. We had a quick huddle, you and I, and you said, "Oh, dude, I reckon we should play here." And I would have said, "LD, that's an excellent idea. We absolutely should." So I would have put on my best business approach. And it would have been something like, Nathan, me and LD have a band. You wouldn't read about it, bro. And it's always hard because there was something strange about, sort of like promoting yourself and trying to explain to him that I was like, nah, the band's really cool. I know that I'm carrying on like a complete bonehead at the moment, but the music isn't, it's nothing like the way I'm talking to you at the moment. So it's really
my
good.
attitude and behavior, not reflective of the music.
Yeah. I was like, it's pretty good, man. You might like it. It's pretty good. Yeah. But that was often the thing, dude, because once we did our first gig there, I think we played there many times. Like,
we did play there.
Yeah, once we did the first one and communicated that we were competent. Yeah. It was we had a really good like professional relationship with those guys moving forward. So much so that we played the last ever one.
We did, that's massive, and I think what you're saying is right. It definitely helped that because we were a local band and the venue was pretty local to us and our friends. We pretty much always sold it out, which was an amazing feeling. How good does it feel to sell out a venue? Which was great. And to have all your friends there and to see you play and just also to love the venue and then party on afterwards was always amazing as well.
Dude, remember, they had the fucking limit though. They would boot everyone out at like 1 because they didn't have a proper liquor license or something because of the nature of the venue. That was, and remember, it was like from the first one, they would always be like, "Oh, maybe next week we'll get the extension." And the extension never came.
It was like, Nathan, you are a bloody liar, you are. I remember him on stage at the end of the first one being like, "It's 1 o'clock, guys. Everyone's got to go, but we're working on that liquor license. So 3 a.m. maybe next week. Come back next week." That's how we got people to come back in the door. And every week, you're right, dude. Every week.
And I believed it. Dude, we'd be having pre-drinks at your house. And I'd be like, dude, imagine, maybe this will be the week, man.
Because the problem was as well with Kate's is like, by 1, you were just like in the zone. You were ready. You rip roaring. It's like that perfect time of just like, oh, I got the energy. I've also got the alcohol inside of me. I just want to keep partying. And then they turn the lights on and you're just like, oh my God.
Why are you doing this? Why have you got to be like this?
It was a killer. It was an absolute killer. You know what? I remember so many times just leaving, just being like, oh man, I wish Kate's was just open for 2 more hours.
Just let me get that last bit out of my system.
That spurt of energy.
Yeah, I can go home and actually sleep. But
because 3 a.m. taken out. Perfect time.
Yeah. 1 was you were getting taken out right at your prime, right at the peak of the evening.
Absolutely.
But it's probably good for our livers, dude. Upon reflection, because nothing good would have ever happened between 1 and 3. I think it was just all in our heads. That
it's almost the FOMO, and the what could have been. Grass is always greener on the other side, mate.
That's it. Ain't it true?
Yeah, but we did, as you said, we did play the last Kate's party as well, and that was an honor considering we love the venue, we love the event so much. To play the last one was awesome.
Yeah,
Really, really
that was
cool.
sick, dude. That was a lot of fun. That was like, yeah, it felt like the culmination of all the good times we'd had at that
Yeah,
venue. That was a particularly large evening.
yeah, for sure. I think I speak to people about Kate's even to this day, and I say I'd love to see something like that come back, but I don't know how viable it would be in 2020. I don't know if it's like a thing that could really happen, or if that's an idea. If there's enough of a community or enough people that sort of even into alternative stuff, like they're out there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they are.
Like,
Well, that felt like a prime example of the
yeah,
philosophy of build and they will come sort of a
yes,
thing. Like, because there would often be people at those events, and I think, where are you during, like, where are you all the other times? Like,
yeah,
whenever there's like an alternative music event, like, you would see a few people here and there, but every night at those events it was just packed. And I think because the word of mouth was so strong, because each time you would go, it was so
yes,
much fun. You would
yeah,
want to bring other people to it, to just share in
absolutely.
that.
I brought so many people there, but I think that also was a little bit of its downfall as well. Its downfall came from the fact that the the crowd from other places that you didn't want coming to Kate's
Mm,
started coming to Kate's
yep.
because it was such a buzz, so such a vibe about the night. There were people that would go to like the Dorset down the road, which is like known for fights and stuff like that. You know, they call it the Dirty Dorset.
Just
There's
a
a lot going
bad
on there.
joint. Yeah, dude, I've only been there
It's,
the one time, and
it's not the venue, you know. It's like the crowd that sort of develops there. Unfortunately, it's like a lot of places, you know.
yeah, yep.
But yeah, the crowd started changing. Were you there that time that everyone freaked out because someone had brought a gun, or that was yeah?
What?
Were you there?
No, I want to say I don't think so.
Yeah. So if anyone watching, if you remember this time, send us a comment. But yeah, I remember this one time that there was this like, I don't know if there was a fight or there was something going on, but going around in the venue, someone was like, someone brought a gun, someone's got a gun on them. And there was a big like, holy shit. And people were scared shitless for a little bit.
Maybe it does ring a bell. Now that you're
Yeah.
saying it, I feel like, oh, I surely I either heard about it or I was there, but that's starting to ring a bell.
Yeah. And who knows if it was true? Like, who knows if that was actually for real, that someone did bring a gun. But it was enough that, like I said, you started seeing more of that. You started seeing more fights and more just like
Just
people butting
unruly
heads,
behavior. Yeah.
unruly behavior, and also it didn't help that unfortunately, and this is nothing against the guys in the venue, you know, they had to continually minimize the outdoor smoking space, like
I remember
smaller
that.
and smaller.
Yeah, it got like really tight by the very end
Yeah,
there.
and I think that was like the council like clamping down on the liquor licensing and stuff like that, you know, which is sad, you know, it pretty much killed it. It killed the
Mm.
event. Um, and I know the venue is, I think it's still around and they do have events, but I've seen photos and for the most part, it's like small,
It's
20,
not the
30
same,
people.
yeah, dude. It's not the same. Like, maybe it's one of those things, like the timing, like the stars aligned. So whether it could be achieved again, I would say yes, but it would
Yeah.
have to be someone who is like pretty confident in their ability to like arrange the event and have it succeed.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, like Guy, I'm pretty sure he's a massive entrepreneur now. I think he owns or he he runs or he's come up with the idea for Green Burger. Have you seen that?
No,
Green Burger, and I have been there once, I believe, but like I don't know the modus operandi. I don't even know if that's the right term to be honest. It's like a vegetarian burger place, but you know it's like fake meat and stuff like that.
oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh man, I had their like poutine chips and I had a burger there and it was dope as hell, guys. It was really good. I highly suggest if you haven't been to Green Burger, definitely go and suss out Green Burger.
Oh man, oh, what a good bloke.
Yeah. So, you know, you mentioned them before that, like we've spoken obviously about getting lit and drinking and getting wasted. And we did that together. We did that apart for a long time. But you were mentioning that it sort of died off for you, especially, you know, moving to Sydney and stuff like that. It's changed a bit for you.
Yeah, big time. And I think that was the main um, driving factor, is that so much of it was rooted in the social element of it. It was sort of like once the boys got together, or there was any kind of group of people, that was just the done thing. And then
Yeah.
To pursue my career, I moved up to Sydney, and I was there for the past 3 years. And I found that, yeah, in removing that, I was just not compelled to drink at all. Like, even in the capacity of, like, after a long day at work, you get home and have a beer with dinner or whatever, it just didn't appeal to me. And, like, bit by bit, I just lost that enthusiasm for it. And then I am curious to see, now being back in Melbourne, if that changes. I think I'll always be up for, like, having a couple of beers in the sun and doing that kind of stuff. But certainly drinking to excess just does not appeal to me in the way that it used to. I think I take that view of, is this going to be worth what I have to pay for it? Sort of like a cost benefit. Like, I know that the next morning is going to be an absolute nightmare. And I'm like, it's just not worth it. I can't justify it. So I'll often, even if I were to drink, I think I'd find that I had the willpower or the capacity to cut myself off a lot more than I ever did before. I think historically it would be around that 2 or 3 beer mark. It was like, all right, it's on here. Like, we got a sesh going, and it would just escalate from there. Whereas I think that now it's 2 or 3, I get to that point where I'm like, all right, I'm at a crossroads here. I need to make a decision. More often than not, I feel like it's going to be that more conservative approach.
100%. No, but I agree with you, dude. I think, if anything, we're just too old to drink like that anymore as well.
I think that as well. Yeah.
Physically,
I don't know how we did it, dude. Like, looking at and hearing some of your stories about, like, the volume, it doesn't compute anymore. Yeah, I honestly think that, yeah.
Die if I had okay. So my first drink that I've had, guys. For those that can't see, I should have mentioned, I did have a drink in a glass. If you just listen to the audio, and it's a little bit of a celebratory glass because we're doing these podcasts, and I enjoy 1 or 2 drinks. I had 1 drink and I already feel a little bit tipsy. Can you imagine a bottle of vodka? I think it's 22 standard drinks. I would legitimately die if I had that now.
Yeah, if you went and poured 20 more glasses of that and sat down and drank them, that's the other thing, dude. Physically, I don't know if there's enough bladder space to hold that much liquid. I don't know how we didn't, like, drown ourselves.
Yeah, well, our bladders aren't as strong as well, man. You know what happens when you get older. Your bladder starts giving out on you.
Yeah.
You gotta go toilet all too often. Yeah. No, I agree, man. And I'm in the same boat as you. You know, a casual couple of drinks or whatever here and there. And I drink now because I enjoy the taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
Beer specifically. But those days of getting absolutely wasted are pretty much behind me. I can think of maybe 2 times in the last 5 years where I've been truly drunk. And even the truly drunk that I have been the last 2 times pales in comparison to the drunk I used to get when I was like 20, 21, which I'm thankful for. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's a different beast, man. I don't know how people keep it up.
Credit to them, but what an expensive hobby, and not only expensive on your wallet, but just like expensive on your health as well, man.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, I feel like, yeah, the bill just continues to get bigger and bigger the more you add it up. For sure. Not worth it.
Do you like craft beer or anything like that? Are you into that?
I did for a while, and I think my peak of being interested in that kind of stuff was probably when we were in Tassie and we went to the brewery. Which one was it? Yeah. What's the brewery?
Bogues. We went to the Bogues brewery. Yeah.
That was sick, man. Doing like the tasting boards there. I really enjoy, drinking in that capacity. Like, actually going to a brewery and trying out some different things, learning a bit about how they make it, what goes into it. I like it in that sense, like a bit more of a, like a low key as opposed to just getting blasted. Yeah,
for sure. But I'm in the same boat too, you know, like, living, and I've spoke to you about this, living on the peninsula or in Frankston, which I pretty much consider the peninsula.
Yeah,
I'm very fortunate. I've got 3 breweries within a 5-minute radius from me, either driving, or I could even walk to them if I wanted to. I got a gin distillery as well, just down the road from me. And there, when you head further on into the peninsula too, there is just numerous breweries and wineries and all these, different alcohol places, which is amazing, man.
Yeah, we'll be checking them out. I have no doubt.
You'll have to check them out, 100%. And I'm a little bit of a spokesperson for Frankston. While it's maybe got a bit of a bad reputation in the past, it's going to come up. Let me tell you right now, it is coming up. And the stuff that is getting opened up around here, it's amazing. I'd highly suggest, if you haven't been down to the peninsula or Frankston, you come check it out one day and actually have a look around.
100%. We'll replay that clip once it all pops off.
Yeah, Mark.
Our D was right.
Put this in your calendars, everyone, all right? On whatever day it is, the 20... What day is it? 27th of September 2020, Frankston will pop off. See, I'll leave it quite vague, and then people can't quote me on.
Just be general, yeah.
Be general, yeah. Don't put any hard facts and figures down.
Perfect,
cool,
dude.
bro. All right, well, it probably brings us to the end of today's pod, hey?
I think so, dude. I think we've covered off a few interesting bits and pieces. Another slice of history in the record books.
A little bit of a slice of life, guys. I guess if you're listening to this, you have got any comments, or if you want to, remind us of anything we may have forgotten, or even give us some topics or suggestions of what you'd like us to talk about in the future, let us know, either on our YouTube channel or through Spotify as well. We've also got the MTLD Facebook page too. Make sure you give that a like.
Hell yeah.
From MT and I, thanks very much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.
It's been a pleasure.